Namaskar. We welcome all of you to our Women Empowerment series today. We have Ms. Sudha here, who is a yoga teacher with us. I welcome you, Ms. Sudha, to share a few words about your journey with us today.
Hi, Navina. I'm super excited to join with you for this program, and I'm very glad to share. It's always been like if I'm happy, I tell the entire world by drumming it. If I'm sad, I tell the same thing to the entire world. I seek help from anyone who can help me when I'm in trouble. So I'm very, very super glad to share my journey with you people. So you're doing a wonderful job of making this video series and sharing and letting others know how different people they have run their life and which motivates, inspires. There are very many unsung heroes, heroines all around the world, but there are people who really need help. And if we all can lend a little bit of help, inspire them to go ahead with their journey, enjoy their life, live their life to the fullest, it's a great thing. You all join hands together and do it.
Thank you very much for that, ma'am. Would you like to share your journey with us, how you traveled from your corporate journey to a yoga teacher journey? What made you travel that journey?
Okay, well, I have been like grown up with all my aunts, uncles, and cousins, niece. My mother was working, so it had stayed in my mind that I have to look after the children. I shouldn't let my children to go to any creche or taken care of by any ayama. That was there in my mind. So immediately after the birth of the children, I left all that whatever I was doing and I took care of the family totally. And though I was helping a little bit onto the looking after my office, I had my own business running after I left my job. So that time, my full concentration was to make the family run, make the children grow in a very well way, providing them whatever is required for a child to grow as a good human being. First of all is the love. When you are full, then you can spill out love. When you are in full, you cannot spill out love. That is what I learned. Whenever I got angry or irritated, first of all, I need to love myself doing this. So I used to love everything when I was full. I used to get irritated when I had lacked something. So I used to refill myself with a lot of books, inspiring stories of people who have achieved a lot of things. And I also learned yoga from different schools, different masters. That was always my passion. Without knowing that I am doing yoga, I used to do some postures. And later I learned that they are they are the asanas. So after spending lots of time with the family, raising the children, there was always a longing to go further. So what next? What next? What next? It kept on coming in from in within. What next? What next? So I was not, my mind was not settling on doing the business again. Though I was given an opportunity to take care of the unit again, the business what I was running, which was looked after my husband till then. He told that I'm also getting bored, then why don't you look after for an year, let me change over. So just for your sake, I'm doing it. So I did it. But my calling was different. It was a different calling all the time whenever I was doing that. I spend most of my time listening to videos, audiobooks, listening to motivation videos, listening to yoga postures, how people train, how people practice, and how people, of course, we never left any cooking videos too, because we only first the tummy to be full, then only the heart can become full. So that's how the journey was for around 20 years. So when my children became 20, they were all in college, and then I started looking for a different change. I definitely did not want to go for walks in the parks, go for trips around and spend the rest of the life just like, many people who do in this world. After the children are settled, then you just aram say go for journeys, yatras, and walk in the parks. Then time to time you watch the TV shows. No, that was not there. I was not at all to it. So I kept on saying that I must go to a countryside and serve people through something or the other. So, and God helps, when you seek, then the seeking thing will seek you. So always it happened that when you look for, even if today also I will say that if you lost my key, I misplaced the key wherever it is, I do not know. Say just close your eyes, just think of the key. What is the shape of the key? What is the key chain and how we used to handle? And just think of only the key. The key will come to you and it works. And people wonder, hey, really? Yes, I got to know where I've kept it. It does work. So always whatever you seek, seeks you. So that's a connection between the objects in the whole universe.
Law of attraction, right?
Law of attraction. So same with the people, same with the minds, same with the things, everything around you. So it was always a learning journey all through the life. And after that, I had a small surgery of removing my ovary and one of the ovaries and my uterus. So that gave me, raised my conscious to be healthy all the time. So I took very serious yoga. I learned Ashtanga yoga. I learned Hatha yoga. I attended many classes. I attended a course and to become a certified teacher. So I did a 1-year course. And then after that, that's what, no, as you want to teach, so people will come to you because you want to teach and people will come to learn from you. And simultaneously, I learned meditation from a teacher in Bangalore. Her name is Katpagam. So she had really showed me different methods of meditation, experienced it and shared the learnings with her. And through her guidance, I have changed my life totally. And today I am at Satyam Nityam Yoga Salai, looking forward for the further journey to serve people around, to raise their health and their conscious.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. While talking to you, I realized that you called yourself as a yoga teacher and not as a yoga trainer. Why is that?
See, trainer is someone makes you to do the things repeatedly, and gives you a push all the time. There is a push. Go, do this, do this, do this. And it is called as endurance. That's what they call. No, the choice has to be left to us. Like if we tell a child to by heart a poem and tell 10 times, tell 20 times, read 20 times, write 20 times. No, that doesn't work better. When you say, this is the meaning, let us sing it together. And then morning you sing, evening you sing, 2 days the child by heart. So it is, you're leaving it freely. Teaching is leaving it to your choice. But training is, you're pushing somebody to do something. That's what I understand. So teaching is much beyond that. Suppose you want to run a race, a marathon race. So as a trainer, what a trainer will do, okay, today you run this much 10 kilometers. Okay, now tomorrow you stretch to 12 kilometers. I'll see you at it. Yeah, ready, whistle, yes, go. That is what a trainer does. A teacher teaches how the muscles are, how they get better, and what kind of food you need to take. Of course, the trainer also will tell. I'm not saying the trainer will not tell, but the teacher gives you a gyan of the deeper things. And it takes you deeper to understand the deep truth of each and everything. So the marathon runner aspiring to reach a goal of running for 100 kilometers, say, they get their own idea, they get their own gyan from their inner light. So that works better, and he will continue that for his lifetime. But the one who gets trained may not continue for the lifetime. It's kind of become very, we say, in Tamil, it's become a very, not Achievement is something different from what to say, just attaining it.
True. I agree. I agree with you on those words. And what a beautiful explanation that you've given. The difference between a trainer and a teacher. A teacher always guides you, acts as a guiding light because they've got that light within and they want to share the knowledge with others. And when that guidance is taken up by us, the light shines through from within us as well. And that's how we can carry our life forward.
Very true. You have understood very rightly and told it in a beautiful way.
Thank you for that. I would like you to share what do you do as a yoga teacher? What are the various activities you do for what kind of people, what ages? How do you go ahead and teach? Would you share that with us?
Okay. Basically, I found that the trait of training is there within me. I always say that even a housemaid can be trained on the computer. Today, you see the smartphones, they use it at the best way. Even a coolie in the farm, I see them using that and they use it for their own purposes. They learn it. They don't know even an alphabet which to read, but they use it. So it is, you know, how their teaching happens from within. It is all from within. So I teach for age group from 8 years to 80 years. I've handled senior citizens who are in the senior citizen homes also. I have also taught yoga to children, still teaching also online now. There are 20 children learning from me online now. And there are individuals who take one-on-one classes because their problems are unique or they want full attention. And they connect from Singapore, California, Dubai, Umam, different countries. Thanks for the pandemic and the connections of the internet and the technology, which has helped all this. And I haven't started group classes yet at Satyamritam Yoga Sale. We'll be starting in-person group classes. People do ask for group classes, but somehow it has not been happening. I can handle group classes too. I've been handling earlier in person. So I used to run a yoga center in Bangalore. So used to do classes there. So I cater all kinds of categories of people, suit according to their needs. Because it's not that the same thing which is given to everybody. So when we have to give a bitter gourd, we mix some vellum to it, jaggery to it, and give it to some people. To some people, directly you can give it. So it varies. So how you give the same practices to different people varies. So we have to understand the person, understand it and go to the level of that person and then teach. Then it reaches. Even if it is to the kids, it's a mixed group of kids who really want to become very serious. The moment you say, close your eyes and sit, they will immediately close the eyes and sit. And for there's some children, how many ever times you tell them to close the eyes and sit, they will not close the eyes. So even if you say close, close with the signs, no, they will not close. So then for such children in a heterogeneous group, I call the child separately and I'll ask them to stay on. Whoever wants to stay on, you can stay on, but I want to talk to so-and-so. Then the child will say, yes, me. They don't feel anything bad, you know. This is all it is elders who see all this ego and all that. Children up to age of 10, they don't see any ego or anything, feel bad or anything. So I tell him or her that, you know, you have been keeping the eyes open. How do you feel about it? Okay, this is what you felt. Okay, fine. So would you like to experiment with the eyes closed tomorrow? Shall we try? Then it just goes. Then how did you find the experience? I don't go to ask only because they've already found that experience and they choose what do they want to do. So there is no compulsion. And even when they do poses, there is no compulsion. Because Patanjali says in his Yoga Sutra, it says, Atha Yoga Anusasana, the position where you are steady and you're comfortable, steady and comfortable, that is the asana. That is the only definition he gives for the asana. All the rest of the things he talks about meditation and other things on different anubhavas, different experiences. So, but unfortunately, people today think that yoga means it is doing asanas. Yes, you do asanas. There are different levels you do the same asana. Just you put your head down, raise it up. So you close your eyes and do, it's a different feeling. And then again, you do it with awareness how your neck is bending with all this vertebrae going, pushing to each other. That's a different experience. Now you breathe in and take your head up and breathe out, put your head down. And you combine all this, breathing in, becoming aware of your vertebrae and raising the head. Breathing out, putting the head down, being aware of all the things. And you do it so slowly because you need to recollect all the experience, right? You naturally do it so slowly.
Yeah.
And naturally, your whole attention is on your neck, the whole attention on your breath. Your health is going to improve for sure.
I agree with you on that, and I also completely agree with the way that you give the explanation of how you teach the child. I personally feel that this child is there within all of us, even though we are grown up and we call ourselves adults per se, but we still have the child within us, which tends
Surely.
to, which actually the child or the adult tends to give some kind of resistance to new learning and things. But when you call out the person, like how you did explain to a child, you call the person out and share the knowledge which is to be shared, then the receiving is much more. So it's a beautiful way, actually, I say, to teach what needs to be understood. You're a wonderful teacher.
And another experience I would like to share, like I ask children, one alternate days I take classes. Shri, did you practice yesterday? Like this, one smile will go and the face will turn like this and the eyes will look somewhere. It's understood that you're not practiced. Okay? I encourage them to say no, because when you say no, that means that you're going to say yes tomorrow and you're going to do your practice tomorrow. So don't feel bad whether to say yes or no. Let it be with the same. It is the natural being, iyalbana nilai. So you don't see anything different. If you have done, that is the fact. If you're not done, that is the fact. You see them as facts. You see them as satya, nothing more to it. We unnecessarily attach attention or emotion to, when you say, yes, it is good, discriminating, judging, being judgmental. This is good, this is bad, this is wanted, this is not wanted. Wanted, not wanted, good, bad is required to a certain extent. Not to the core of, feeling bad, letting yourself down. That's why any people get into a lot of psychosomatic diseases. Because you're attaching so much of attention of being and not being. Being is, however, natural. Not being is also, however, natural it is to you. So I encourage children to say no, yes, at the same way. No, we're not that yes so happily and then no like that. No. You say with a smile, yes. You say with a smile, no. So you're assured that when you say no, yes, I accepted it. So what do you want to do tomorrow? I will practice. Maybe tomorrow again you'll miss. Again you may say no. But still again, one more tomorrow comes, you say yes, I will do it. And one more tomorrow comes and says that. And the child says that, yes, I have practiced with a gleam on the face. And it is just taking anybody, neither it is a child or an adult, taking anybody to that experience. That's it. We're just taking that horse to the water. So this is the way to go. That's it. So drinking and all that is personal. We cannot force somebody to do anything. So whether it is asana or yoga or anything, no. As much as you leave another person, other soul free, then that soul becomes very comfortable and naturally all the learning will take place. Even studies, the children are so forced, learn this, you have to get this mark. And the parents are putting their pressure, my son has to become a doctor. My son has to become a doctor. Yes, you wish, pray that your son has to become a doctor. But leave him to study, choose his own timings, let him set his own goals. People Maybe it requires a lot of experience and knowing themselves what do they do. And the people are very anxious. So for all of that, doing yoga is an answer. Yoga is just not moving your body. It is starts with, we have it in 4 different things. One is sitting still and observing your body parts. Then second part is doing the mantra chantings of Mahamrityunjaya mantra, Gayatri mantra, 32 names of Ma Durga. This goes on in every class. And those who do not want to chant, they need not chant. They can just simply sit listening. No problem. Nobody is going to force. And they finally find these vibrations, because we make a resolve when we do the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. The resolve is made that I am going to be healthy, not even going to be health, well-being, your immunity is more, power, energy. These are all associated resolves for the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. And when it comes to Gayatri mantra, we say clarity of mind, understanding the truth, wisdom, improving your intuitive powers. When it comes to Durga mantra, we say that is removing distress from your life, harmony, love, protection. So this is what is the Durga mantra resolves. So this is what everybody wants. Actually, these results, we are just vibrating through these mantra chantings, and we just follow this mantra chanting. So this becomes the second. Then the third part becomes moving your joints. All the joints have to be slowly woken up, whether it is finger joints, just close it, either with the thumb in or thumb outside, just close it. Then you move your wrist joint like that. We start from the toes. Then you wake up all the joints. There are a set of exercises we do with the waking up all the joints, and then moving the body in a different way. So it covers all the forward bend, backward bend, side twist, side bend, side twist, everything it covers. And finally, the superb interesting part is the Shavasana. Everybody loves Shavasana, the relaxation asanas. There are set of relaxation asanas. Just go through the relaxation asanas. And when you are lying down, then what do? You observe your breath. There is a routine for observing the breath. You become aware of the breath. So where the breath is traveling right from your nose tip, it touches your nose, then become aware that it goes through the nose. It goes at the back of your nose, then goes at the back of your mouth, then goes into the back of your throat, then into the throat, into the trachea, into the windpipe, and then into your lungs, into the bronchial tubes, then into the alveoli. Carrying back the carbon dioxide, same route map, follow it. Second breath, same route map, follow it. So then the whole body is, settled down, totally calm down. And then we take for yoga tours called Yoga Nidra. So we take into tours like you walking into the forest or walking into a stream of water or walking near the pond, and what do you see there in the pond, like that. So the conscious becomes very, very calm and goes deeper and deeper. Some of the yoga students, they sleep off and then they suddenly wake up, and then so much they have relaxed. So it really helps them to relax a lot. So with all these 4 things in a yoga class, it helps any student, to make a better life for themselves, physically, mentally, spiritually.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I really liked it where you started off saying that you encourage the children to say no. I mean, that's really powerful. How many of us have actually had our own teachers or even our own parents teach us that, to let us just be, to allow us a choice to say, no, I actually didn't do it, or no, I don't know. You're really right when you said that when we accept today that I don't know or I didn't do it, it gives us a whole beautiful option tomorrow to actually do it instead of feeling guilty that you didn't do it today. And this needs to be taught in all schools, by all teachers, by all parents to their children. They should give this knowledge on, they should pass this knowledge on. I also really love the way that You said and explained the 4 different stages that you carry the students through in your yoga training or yoga teaching classes. That you like to do it one-on-one because everybody is made in a different way, and it's best if it is customized for every person. Though it is the same 4 procedures which is followed, when it is shared one-on-one, then there is more learning. And when there is more learning, there is more growth. You've
Sure.
really put it out beautifully for us there today.
Thank
What
you
is
so much for observing all that what I have told you.
my pleasure? I wanted to ask you, what is one advice that you wish to give to women and men out there? Because this is a women empowerment series. As a woman, what message or advice would you like to give to other women out there that, hey, you can also do something? Like, what would you like to share?
Whether it's a woman or a man, it is the same. Just that you have to accept yourself. For that, you have to know yourself. So the journey starts from there, knowing yourself. So you have to sit and think, I have to take some time for your own selves. We have to train ourselves to take time for our own selves. Earlier days, when I was in school, we were encouraged to write diaries. It is again reflecting our own thoughts of the whole day, writing the diary. What did I do today? Where did I go? What money I spent? Everything is written in the diary. But nowadays, nobody writes diaries. So maybe you can start with a diary writing habit. You have to write. Then you reflect yourself. What did you do? Then you know what did you do? Then as you're writing the whole day's thing, then you go through the review of the day is very, very important. For anybody, even a donkey, it is required. I'm not saying that donkey has to sit and write diary. I'm just saying to that extent, it is important. I'm just trying to emphasize on it. So writing diary, we can start with. Then second, we can start with sitting quietly, closing the eyes. You need not go to any guru or anything. If you need be, you go. But otherwise, it's not a must rule that you have to go to a guru or you have to seek. The teacher is within us. Definitely, it is within us. Then the teacher will take you to somewhere. That is different. So first you start thinking about the review of the day. That is very, very important, number one. Number two is sit with your eyes closed. Just observe your breath. Calm down yourself. Ground yourself. If you're not able to do that, I'm very active, then you just go to the wall, your own wall in the house. Just hug the wall. Put your face on it. Now maybe you can move your hands up and then bring it down. Just move it up and bring it down. Slowly, little more slowly. Then you just turn, put your back. Just close your eyes. Just move your hands up. Then bring it down. If you cannot do this, if you don't have a wall in your house, just go to a tree. Just hug the tree. Just be there with the tree. If you cannot go to the tree and hug the tree, just take some mud in your hands. Just plant something. Sow some seeds. Even if you have a very small house, just plant some chili seeds. Just plant some, whether it grows and gives you a chili, it doesn't matter. Just grow. Observe how it grows. Observe how it sprouts. Feed some dogs, animals, or the crows. Some habit to be with yourself, to feel one with the surrounding around you. So when this collective consciousness becomes the universal consciousness, then you start growing. When you see yours in everything around you, and then everything reflects that what you have inside you, then you start connecting with everything. So with connecting, the journey of life is very, very peaceful, wonderful, joyous, and always progressive. Progress is very, very important. You can't stagnate someplace. If the water stagnates, it stings. If the food's stale, it stings. So when we stagnate, we stink. That's why we get all diseases. So we shouldn't stagnate. So we should keep on going forward. what may come in life. It's important is myself. I am more important than anything else. So you look at yourself. It is not like shaving your eyebrows, or you may do that along with the main journey. But that is not the journey. Keeping your beauty on, dress on, collecting dresses, beautifying the house. No, more than all that, what is more important is how beautiful you become inside you, how pure you become inside you. So when you become more purer and purer, you get a lot of clarity in life. Whether it is a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. And for women, what differentiates between the man and the women? The women is more emotional body than a man. So we are governed by emotions. The more practices are needed for the women than the men. So we need to become balanced with emotions. Whether it is angry, be aware that you're getting angry. When you become upset, be aware first that you are getting upset. Yes, I am getting upset. That is the wake-up call, being aware. Then you raise from there. Then you will be able to, win over those situations. So next time when the same situation comes in life, that remember that last time I was upset. So this time I'm not going to be upset. I will handle the situation very well. I will look with an open mind, not with a grudge, with an openness, not with any grudges of the situation or the people involved. It is with an openness. For it is for your own self, after all. Yeah. It's how you feel inside you. It is not that how other person is going to feel about you, or how you are going to make or program another person to feel about you. It's all about you and only you. So you be happy, you be full with love for your own self, you be with respect for your own self. Then you reflect all that all around you, with everybody around you, and you will attract the same thing to you.
Yes, you're very right. What you said. I like really the advice that you gave to us today on self-reflection. Sit down at the end of the day and count your blessings and see what all you have actually done today, what all has gone through your day. When we sit and actually reflect on that, there is a lot of chance for learning and self-growth. And the other point which you very well pointed out is creating self-awareness. Self-awareness is something that all of us need to give time to on a daily basis. And only when we do that, we can connect within us, to the power within us, to the divine grace which flows through everybody and grows a human being. Again, the reason we call this a women empowerment series is not because we want to say we are feminists or we want to share that empowerment is only for women. Our point of view was to call women like you who have accomplished themselves in their daily life, who have made something of themselves and gone a step forward and trying to help heal others also in their own way. Have them over in our show and share an inspirational story so that people who see this video today, they will have something to take back with them. So I really thank you, Ms. Sudha, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge with us. It's been my honor and pleasure having you with us on this series today. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Navinandi. It is still an excitement and such a great pleasure for me to be here with you to share this wonderful journey of life, which is still continuing and continue to be progress for everybody. I wish all well for everyone around.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.